Namaste and greetings. Hello and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts, a Centers for Spiritual Living teaching center. I am Reverend Dr. Raymond Anderson, the founding minister and the spiritual director. If you have questions about what is a teaching center, who is Reverend Dr. Raymond Anderson, what is Centers for Spiritual Living, what is metaphysical spirituality, feel free to send an email to spirituallyintegratederts@gmail.com. The website with tons of information will be available soon. In the meantime, feel free to follow us, to join us, to subscribe via Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and our YouTube channel. For more information, as I said, send an email. Look for us. Join us. I look forward to chatting with you more very soon. Much love, appreciation, and all of that. Blessings. Namaste and greetings. So, there will not be a gathering today in Zoom, so join us in April. You got that right. Join us in April 2nd. Put it on your calendar now. April 2nd, April 9th, and April 29th. Put it on your calendar now. If you don't already have the Zoom link, send an email to Spiritually Integrated Arts so you can get the Zoom link so you can join us for the After Sunday Message Fellowship. Breathe and send that email. Now, today, what are we talking about today? As we close out the month of March, cultivating authenticity, we are talking about this idea of no external approval needed. Say it again. No external approval needed. When we embrace our own worthiness, we will stop seeking for the approval and the acceptance of others. As incarnations of the divine, we are inherently, right now, worthy. Say that again. We are inherently worthy, not because of what we need to do, not because of where we were born, not because of how much.
We are inherently worthy, period. So whatever blocks we have that prevent us from living into this truth, we are now invited to appreciate, to activate, to engage whatever we need to engage and practice in order to release or surrender or dissolve or deconstruct or whatever it is, whatever word works, whatever floats your boat. But it's time to move the blockages and the baggage. It's time to get rid of them, shift them, transmute them, transform them, whatever the traumas are, whatever the paradigms and belief systems are, whatever the consciousness is that makes us feel like we are not worthy, whatever it is. Now is the time to engage the practices. Now is the time to engage the principles. Now is the time, right? Breathe. No more denying ourselves. Breathe. And in place of the baggage, the trauma, the low self-worth, the low self-esteem, the denial of oneself, in place of all of that, we rest in the power of freedom. We rest in the power of self-acceptance. Breathe. 100% approval, acceptance of ourselves. That's how we're closing out the month. Breathe. Dr. Holmes, there's going to be a remix. Dr. Holmes says, you belong to the universe in which you live. You are one with the creative genius back of this vast array of ceaseless motion, this original flow of life. Do you feel that? Because if you don't, then the remix isn't going to land very well. But if you can feel that, if you are willing to even entertain this general idea, then the remix says you are the universe incarnating itself as you. And this life you live, right? It's incarnating itself as you, and this life you live, breathe. You and the creative genius that is back of this vast array of ceaseless motion are one. You and the creative genius are one. The original flow of life flows in, through, and as you. You are the universe incarnating itself as you and this thing that you call your life. You and it are one as it flows in, through, and as you. So if that's the case, then who do you need to be approved by? Who do I need the stamp of approval? Who or why would we need to be approved by someone? Why would we need someone else's stamp of approval? Why would we need that? And let's pause for a moment and think about this idea of approval, because what we're actually saying isn't really approval, but rather validation. We want someone to validate us. Yeah, I know. Sometimes that's a hard pill to swallow. We are seeking validation. Now, some of us may be pausing to say, well, but am I really? Well, let's explore this. Validation is an action of checking or proving the validity or the accuracy of something. We feel like I need that practitioner's license to validate, to prove that I accurately know and understand. It's one thing to desire to get it for a certain level of skill, etc. But there are people who need the letters. They need the degrees, the certifications, because the pieces of paper and those extra letters somehow validate them. It's declaring that they are officially acceptable in this role. Recognition or affirmation that a person or their feelings or their opinions are valid, acceptable, worthwhile, meaningful, worthy. And ultimately, this idea of validation simply means, are you approved or are you rejected? Simply that. Are you approved, accepted, or are you rejected and shunned? Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. And this whole idea of seeking and searching and wanting and needing the external validation and the approval of causes a great deal of stress. Causes a great deal of stress. And if we remember from last week when we were talking about the whole idea of boundaries, one of the reasons to have effective and healthy boundaries was to reduce stress. So then why add on more stress by needing someone else's validation, an organization's validation, a loved one's validation, a friend's validation? Why need their approval? And yes, I understand that we are humans and we grow up in this era of adolescence and we seek the approval of. And yet, in the era of social media, many of us adults, we are still in the adolescent phase of, because we need the likes, we need the thumbs up, we need the followers, because the more followers we have, it somehow means they really like me. They really like me. And when those numbers go down, what do I need to do to get more people to like me? How do I get more people to like me and follow me? Because the number of followers, the number of likes, the number of thumbs up somehow validates us. It gives us a sense of, I have been accepted. And to not have creates stress. Prem Prakash, and there's going to be a remix on this, says, our stresses, anxieties, pains, and problems arise because we do not see the world, we do not see others, and we do not see ourselves as worthy of love. Breathe and take that in. The reason we have anxiety, stresses, pains, and problems is because on some level there is this, I'm not worthy of love. They're not worthy of love. You're not worthy of love. It's not worthy of love. Some unworthiness, period. Because ultimately, if I deem someone else unworthy, it's because somewhere in me, I am judging the whole idea of what that means, which means somewhere in me, I have a false sense of worthiness, that my self-worth is above theirs, which is why I can deny them, which is why I can judge them, which is why I can ostracize them and deem them unworthy. But I myself, the only way I can do that is I'm missing it as well. So stress, anxiety, pain, trauma, problems, all of this arises from a sense of unworthiness. So the remix. Some of our stresses, anxieties, pains, and problems arise because we do not see the world, others, or even ourselves as worthy of love. And yet other stresses, anxieties, and pains arise because of our empathy. When we see others experiencing the detrimental effects of bigotry, racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, xenophobia, etc., we feel the angst, and there is a desire to heal the situation. And in that angst is, it's a stress. It's an issue. It's a problem. When we feel it because of our empathy. And our empathy says, I know you are worthy. Now, how can I help bridge, make the connection so that you feel what I know you are already worthy of, that I feel and know you. Because when I see it not happening, I feel the angst. In the same way that people who love animals, when they see someone, a big game hunter, posing in front of their trophy kill, you feel the angst. Why would you simply murder an animal and call it a trophy? big bad hunter with gun kills, and you feel the anxiety, you feel the pain because there is empathy. It is important that we are able to understand and discern the difference between which stress am I self inflicting because I am invited to heal something within me, and which stress is a normal, natural element of stress, also invited to work on and heal, but it's because of a completely different paradigm or consciousness. Breathe. Because if we're going to talk about this whole idea of approval and validation and authenticity, then it's important to understand the true inner workings, the deepest inner workings of who and what we are and how we show up and why we show up the way that we do. Dr. Holmes says, we should stop condemning ourselves. It is the worst condemnation there is. Well, pause. Condemnation, period. Condemnation of anyone or anything. So I don't know that Hitler's self-condemnation would have been considered worse than him condemning the Jews and the others to genocide. Because his condemnation wasn't killing them, his self-condemnation. Because you can have self-condemnation where you are not killing or crafting the death of others. Now, I understand that his own sense of self-condemnation was being expressed outwardly as that. So yes, in terms of that, his self-condemnation was causing him to act in ways that was, yes, gotcha there. But let's be clear. Let's be crystal clear. So we pause and we say, we should stop condemning self and others. And when we stop condemning self and others, condemnation, period, will not reach us. Now, that does not mean that if I no longer condemn myself and I no longer condemn you, that there are not going to be some naysayers somewhere who say, yeah, but you're black, I condemn you. Yeah, but you're gay, I condemn you. Yeah, you're trans, I condemn you. Yeah, I condemn you. Yeah, I condemn you. Yeah, they still may attempt to, like many are right now writing legislation to condemn LGBTQ folks, to condemn African American studies, to condemn, right? There are a lot of drag to condemn, yes. But let's look at this like a building. When you tend to your structure, your house, and you do what you need to do to keep your structure sound and strong and effective, then you no longer need to judge the neighbors and how they tend their structure. Because in fact, what you are now willing to do is say, hey, Bob, I see you could use some work on your roof. Would you like me to? And then you help them create their structure that is sound and strong. And when that happens and the city shows up to condemn your structure, they can't condemn it because there is no grounds to condemn it. So in terms of that, condemnation cannot reach you. You cannot be condemned because you don't have the resonance. You are not in alignment with it. And in fact, you are in alignment with that which is the exact opposite of it. Breathe. Because the only way we can do this is by recognizing where and when in my life do I condemn myself. Where and when in my life do I judge myself? Where and when in my life do I have some form of, as we said before, remember we talked last week about guilt, shame, blame, all of those things are forms of condemnation. They are things that we hype upon ourselves and heap upon ourselves and load upon ourselves and carry that are not life affirming, that are not healthy, that keep us buried in the loop of low self-worth, low self-esteem, triggering, trauma, stress, dis-ease, discord, self-harm, etc. So we're invited to be present and recognize, when do I judge myself? And check this out. If you're not sure when you judge yourself, then look at when you judge others, because we can only judge others when there is some element of judgment of ourselves present in that moment. And let's be clear, there is righteous judgment, which is life affirming, and there is non life affirming judgment. Righteous judgment seeks to heal, seeks to recognize and realize and materialize health and well being. Now, when you say, well, what is righteous judgment? It's discernment. It is the ability to discern. You know what I'm feeling right now is I'm upset because of something that happened 2 weeks ago regarding my oldest son, something he said. I'm upset about that. But I say nothing. I do nothing. I don't talk to Tracy. I don't talk to him. I don't talk to anybody. I don't talk to my therapist. I keep it bottled up. But what I do is lash out. That's judgment, non-life affirming. But when I can discern this thing that I'm feeling, first, this is what it is. Second, this is why it is. That's righteous judgment, the ability to discern. When you think of the serenity prayer, grant me the serenity to change what I can, or the courage to change what I can, the wisdom to know the difference between what I can't change and what I can. That's discernment. Can I change this? Discernment. Yes. Discernment. No. Discernment. I am able to be present with the feelings, with the thoughts, with the experiences, be present and identify and then heal and change. Discernment. So righteous judgment versus non-righteous or unrighteous judgment. Unrighteous judgment shows up as condemnation, as we said last week. Condemnation. And condemnation keeps us locked up. It keeps us bound. It keeps us enslaved. It keeps us as prisoners. So if we're going to talk about this idea of self-approval, self-validation, then ultimately what we are talking about is this idea of being exonerated. So if condemnation locks us in, then being exonerated sets us free. Exonerated says you have nothing to be guilty of. Exonerated says you are worthy. Exonerated says you are divinely worthy. There is nothing you need to do. There is nothing you need to earn. You are it. Exonerated is you are free. Period. Free. So which one do you want? Condemnation? And check this out. So one of the reasons why we talk about exoneration is because we live in a culture and society where people, situations, institutions are going to attempt to condemn us. And so each time it comes, it's like, boop, no, I've been exonerated of the charges. You're charging me with drag. You're charging me with gay, you're charging me with trans, you're charging me with lesbian, you're charging me with black, you're charging me with Asian, the charges against you are you're woke. I've been exonerated. Those charges can't stick. I am free. Period. Dr. Holmes says, there is something within you beyond all doubt and fear, something which has never been limited by your acts or destroyed by your feelings. This is the only something that can make you whole. Now, one, it doesn't make you whole because you're already whole. You're already whole, wholeness, whole, period. Perfect and complete, period. You are already it. So this something that makes you is your realization, discernment. You are able to discern what is and the indoctrination of what makes you feel like isn't. There is something that you are that shows up as your thoughts, your words, your feelings, and your actions that is it's untouchable by doubt and fear and all of that stuff because you can't change the nature of God. There is something that cannot be, never has been, never will be, limited by your acts. You can limit how you experience it. I can turn the lights off and lower my experience of light in this room, but it doesn't change light. I can lower my experience of water by putting the water glass in front of me and never drinking, but it doesn't change the experience of water, H2O. So you cannot limit it by your acts. You cannot destroy it by your feelings. You can only limit or quote unquote destroy how you experience it. So through your recognition, through your understanding, through your walking the walk of it, you now realize in my freedom, I now experience all the good that is afforded to me. Because I can't be condemned. Condemnation limits, condemnation binds, condemnation destroys. Being exonerated, being unable to be charged in the first place sets you free and free to experience all that is. Dr. Holmes goes on to say, you don't have to despise your personality or say, I hate this body. I am a worm of the dust. Because a lot of us have been taught that stuff from some prior religious background. And then you think that by doing this, you are somehow surrendering to God. You are renouncing the body, the flesh, and its evilness to be closer to God. When you deny yourself, you deny God. Whoa, pump your brakes. Breathe that in. When you deny yourself, you deny God. All we have to say is, there is nothing in me but God. Yes, there's going to be a remix. There is nothing in me but God. Because when you deny yourself, you deny God. Breathe. Remix. You are called to appreciate your personality. Remember before was it? You are called to appreciate your personality and say, I love this body. I am a mighty demonstration of life and I live by embodying God. Because when you deny God, you deny yourself. Well, when you embrace yourself, you embrace God. And all we have to say then is, there is only God and it is incarnating as me now. There is only God and it is incarnating as me now. I embrace all that I am and thereby embrace all that God is as me, because there is only God and it is incarnating as me now. Breathe. That's what it means to understand your worth. Because culture, society, the collective, the mass mind identifies our worth generally by dollars and cents, right? Like we talk about people's net worth. So we're going to talk about this young man, Jaden Smith. Okay. What's he worth? Now, according to the collective consciousness, his net worth is $8 million. Okay. So there's you're telling me there's a dollar tag on people, and the dollar tag determines what someone's net worth is. Now, note it's not saying how much does the person have. If you accumulated or if you added up all of their financial resources, what would that number be? Note that we're actually saying net worth, net worthiness, right? We're going to look at another person, someone you may know, young woman by the name of Oprah Winfrey. Well, what is Oprah's net worth? Well, net worth 3.5 billion, salary roughly 300 million per year. Once again, do we identify one's worthiness, one's worth, based upon a dollar amount? Now, we understand that both Jaden and Oprah and you and I are infinite in our worthiness, because we are, what did that slide a couple of verses say? There is only God, and what it is, incarnating as me now, incarnating as Oprah now, incarnating as Jaden now, incarnating as you now, incarnating as now. So then when we talk about this idea of net worth, once again, the collective says it's the value of the assets that a person or a corporation owns minus the liabilities that they owe. Once again, dollars and cents. Yeah, we're done with that for now. Now we can use, for linguistic convenience, we can talk about it. That's cool. But for this conversation, your net worth right now is your new evolutionary thought of worth or worthiness. As a divine incarnation of God, source, the universe itself, you must be and have all the intrinsic, inherent worth and value of creation itself. Whatever is true about God is true about you. God is worthy because God is worthiness itself. Therefore, I am worthy. You are worthy, period. God is value because God is infinite. Well, God is valuable because God is infinite value in itself, period. Itself, value itself, God, the universe. Worthiness itself, God. Just like beauty, God is not just beautiful, God is beauty itself. So are you. Breathe. So if God is value and valuable, then I am value and valuable. So are you. Because our new evolutionary thought of worthiness recognizes that everything that is true about God is true about us, period. When you know your worth, no one can make you feel worthless. If you know someone gifted you, a necklace that was worn by whomever from whenever, and you know that necklace is priced at, it's an ancient antique, priced at $8 trillion. And you, just out of curiosity, go to a pawn shop and say, excuse me, can you appraise this? And they're like, oh, that's not even real. I give you 300 for it. What? No, because you know what it's actually worth. So no one can convince you that it's worth less. How many of us know someone or know a story of someone who inherited some family heirloom or whatnot from great grandma or whatnot, and it's been in the family forever or whatever, and we think that old thing, only to find out that old thing is worth how much? This old thing is worth how much? This body, this mind is worth how much? Infinite. Because it is the infinite in expression. So when you know your worth, you live based upon what you know, then no one can convince you or make you feel worth less. Now, Brene Brown is getting ready to chime in and say something about these three specific serpents who have very specific names: secrecy, silence, and judgment. Secrecy, silence, and judgment. Now, what does Brene say about them? Shame needs three things to grow out of control in our lives: secrecy, silence, and judgment. Shame needs three things to grow out of control in our lives: secrecy, silence, and judgment. We need to share our experience, and in so doing, shame loses its power. Speak, and shame loses its power. Share, and shame loses its power. Breathe. because a lot of us do not like the idea of being vulnerable enough to shed our secrets, to speak and break our silence, to judge less or be non-judgmental at all, because it means we risk being vulnerable. We would rather embrace the guilt and all that comes with it, the shame, being referred to as inept. You're bad. You're a bad mom. You're a bad dad. You're a bad son. You're a bad employee. You're a bad this. You're a bad student. You're unworthy. And we often are more comfortable in this energy. And in this energy, shame grows. This is fertile soil for shame and blame and guilt and condemnation to grow. For many of us, it is easier to see ourselves as guilty and condemned rather than exonerated. Shame is the intensely painful feeling or experience of believing that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love and belonging. Flawed, broken, inept. Flawed, I'm not good enough. Flawed, I'm not smart enough. Flawed, I'm not pretty enough. Flawed, I'm not skilled enough. Flawed, in some way, shape, or form, there is a flaw. There's something we are missing, and therefore, because we are missing it, whether factual or perceived, doesn't matter in the moment. Either way it goes, we are deeming ourselves unworthy. And yet, if we flip it, transform it, heal it, exonerate ourselves, and step in the energy of freedom, then the remix is, well, if that's what shame is, the intense pain, then praise is the intense, joyful feeling or experience of believing, knowing that we are whole, perfect, and complete, knowing we are worthy of love and belonging, knowing and praising. Praise yourself. Praise yourself for the work you do. Give yourself kudos. Is there more that can be done? Always. Doesn't matter who you are. The Dalai Lama still does his practice. The Buddha still did his practice. Jesus still did his practice. Gandhi did his practice. Dr. King did his practice. Everybody, don't care who it is. Ideally, the idea is for as long as there is life, for as long as there is breath in this, there's going to be work to do. There are going to be mistakes made. Oh, I didn't pay the electric bill. Does that mean I'm unworthy? Does that mean someone should come and take my checkbook because how dare you? Oh, you are not. Or does it simply mean, let me take care of it? Praise yourself. Praise the life that you live. Find something to appreciate and honor about yourself. Breathe. Recognize that whatever the case that has been brought against you, whatever the charges, they're dropped because you are not guilty. You never have been. You cannot be. You are not now. The only guilt or only time you can be deemed guilty is when you accept it. Now, once again, in the court system, the way the court judicial system is, yes, we deem people, you are guilty of the charges of embezzlement or whatever that is. Yes, you are guilty of those charges. Yeah. And you may even say, well, someone is guilty of covert narcissism. Yeah. I mean, for linguistic convenience, we can talk about that. But what we're talking about ultimately is that inner deep feeling that says, because I am guilty, I am not worthy. Yeah, no, let that go. Even while being guilty, I am still worthy. Because the worthiness that I am, that is the divine, does not go away because I embezzled. It does not go away because I am a covert narcissist. It does not go away because I am a dirty, sloppy alcoholic who wakes up in the gutter every Saturday night. It doesn't change my worthiness because that worthiness is innate. It is divine. And it is the thing that calls me and says, are you now ready to get sober? Are you now ready to be more empathic and less narcissistic? Are you now ready to repay the money that you stole? That is what calls us forth into greater ways of showing up. But understand, whatever case has been brought against you does not mean you are not worthy. Grant yourself your own seal of approval because you love yourself. I grant myself the seal of approval. I validate myself through my mental equivalent and understanding and knowing and walking of the walk because I love me. I love myself so much so that I can love you so much, so that you can love you so much. And then we spread the love to others. This week's journaling practice and Thursday night discussion prompts. 1, are there parts of yourself, your personality, your intelligence, your body, your way of being that you wish you could change? Why do you want to change them? Whatever they are. What do you believe that it says about you or your life that you are not that now? So, for example, take me as an example. Years ago, I used to have a lot of guilt and shame and self-loathing and whatnot because of the weight that I gained. And what it would have said that I believe about myself at that weight is that I'm unlovable, I'm ugly, I'm unworthy. And it wasn't until I understood, even at 300 plus pounds, I am still worthy, I am still beautiful, I am still, come on now, I'm still hot. And it was then that I changed. I was no longer dealing with comfort eating to the degree that I was. I didn't need to eat 3 boxes of Pop-Tarts at the time in one sitting again. Like I didn't need to do any of that because that drug of choice, sugar, specifically that brand of, baked goods and stuff, which now let's be clear, I still indulge in some baked goods now, but I'm no longer reliant upon them to validate me the way I once was. So what do you believe it says about you that you are not whatever this is right now? 2, what would you feel like if you could fully be who you are in your own skin now and own this your entire life? It's supposed to be from now on, and still feel and be accepted by others. What would it feel like if you could be fully who you are in your own skin now and own this from now on, and in that still also feel that you are accepted by others? What would that feel like? And while we're at it, what does it mean for you to embody God? And then lastly, what are ways that we can increase the value that we give ourselves? Name at least 5 skills or talents that you have. Create an inventory of all the ways that you bring value to the world of others. What is your time, talent, treasure? How is your life a beneficial presence? Now, if this part of this exercise is difficult for you, begin simply with a gratitude list of things that you are grateful for about you. Things you're grateful for about you. I am grateful that I am able to laugh at the drop of a dime. I am grateful that I am a good artist because I enjoy drawing and painting. I am grateful. Like, what are you grateful for about you? Breathe. This week's declaration, our affirmation, I'll say it first. Then if you agree, if you are in alignment with it, say it with me on the second go round. I am worthy. I am loved. I am enough. Together. I am worthy. I am loved. I am enough. Breathe. Breathe as we enter into that atmosphere of prayer where we understand and we recognize that we don't simply live in answered prayer. We live as answered prayer. And so these words are simply the declaration of what we know already is. We are worthy. We are worthy because we are here. Because we are here, it's because God is here. God is here, right now, living, moving, and being, breathing itself as each one of us. And that in and of itself means that worthiness is present in, through, and as us. This breath is worthy. These thoughts are worthy. This life is worthy of love and appreciation. This self-worth heals the areas in life where there may be condemnation and judgment. I bring the energy of healing and discernment and recognition to any areas in my life, which we are all doing, to areas in our lives where we are being invited to embrace more, to embody more of what it means to be the divine, to be love, to be joy, to be authentic, to live out loud, to love out loud, to be the prophetic voice of new thought right here and right now. Breathe and feel the gratitude and the joy of simply being you. And as this Sunday message closes, this joy, this gratitude, this appreciation goes with each one of us throughout the rest of our day. And it is recognizing that the case is dropped and we are not guilty. We never could be. There is no shame. There is no need to feel ashamed. Then the praise that we bring in our own lives is the contagion that gives others the freedom to praise, to be grateful, to be in joy in their own lives. One thought at a time, one word at a time, one feeling at a time, one action at a time. That's how we change self, individually, and the collective. And the law says yes. And so it is with joy and gratitude that I surrender this to the law, knowing that that sacred yes means it's already done. We're already living this life out loud, boldly, authentically, free. Breathe. And so we let it be. It already is. And so it is. Namaste. Blessings, everyone. Have an amazing rest of your day, an amazing blessed week, and we will see you here next week. Much love and appreciation. Take care.